Good afternoon. It's good to see everybody. Fiesta started, and the weather's changed, and we are going to graduate 700 newly minted health professionals next month. So it's spring, and I'm looking forward to relating some of the events of the last few months and bringing everybody up to date as well as I can. And I'll stay afterwards and answer individual questions for everyone who has any. And I'm available by email or by phone if you have other things you'd like to bring to attention. You know, our story as an institution is made up of the individual stories of each of us, of everybody in this room, of the patients we touch, of the faculty we have, of our staff. And it's a complex place because we come to work every day and we are head down, a lot of us, day to day, working on whatever the task that day is, whatever the mission is that day. And the big picture of the institution is more difficult to obtain. It's easy to miss it. Plenty of seats down here in front. Please make yourselves at home. That's the penance you have to do if you come in late to this meeting. You have to sit down front. Plenty of seats down front. Cindy, get a seat on the front row. Cindy, do what I say. Just sit in the front row. Plenty of seats. Take those seats. Take any seat that's available. So the big picture can be hard to grasp. It can be elusive. And yet, the big picture story for us is inextricably linked to the individual stories that are comprised by each of you, by stories written by all the people we touch in this community. And we're touching 2 million people a year in terms of individual visits. The practices in each of the schools are growing almost exponentially in many ways. The sophistication of the organization has changed, so that it's my conviction that when the story of this institution is written, and the chapter on these years we have spent together and are spending together is written, they will describe a period of tremendous growth. And more important than just the growth, what I think they will describe is an inflection point in the institution's ability to achieve its aspirations. That what will happen as this chapter is written, it'll become clear to the reader that this was a time when the institution took intentional steps to control its destiny. And in doing that, inscribed what its fate would be in history. That we would achieve our goal of being among the most decorated of academic medical centers in the country, not for the purpose of being a decorated academic medical center, but because in achieving that goal, we would be of better service to our community. We'd provide better care. We provide leading edge care, making it unnecessary for anyone to ever have to leave this city for the best care. That we would graduate the most expertly trained health professionals anywhere in the world, and that we would be performing leading edge research that would inform new therapies for the future. So individual stories all merging into larger stories, merging into larger and larger stories, into the story of us, our story. An incredibly exciting time for us. With all the uncertainty, the newspapers are full, the blogosphere is full of uncertainty. How we're going to get paid, what the fate of research is going to be in terms of funding. The Texas legislature is in session. You don't have to look very far to find uncertainty everywhere. And despite each of these uncertainties, the institution is taking very intentional steps to secure the brightest of futures for the people whom we're privileged to serve, our students, our patients, their families, mankind through our research. So I hope in this, what has become semi-annual update, you'll get some idea of some of the steps forward we've made and the opportunities we have, and at the same time get a sense of the direction of the institution. So last time I ended my talk with an individual story. You may remember this story of the young girl, 4-year-old. I have a thing. Does everybody have a soft spot in their heart for 4-year-old little girls? I have 2 granddaughters that age, and I'm just butter when it comes to dealing with them. I mean, So this little girl's story touched my heart. I hope it touched yours. She was, at the time of this, 4 years old. She was attacked by a pit bull and had her ribs broken, her chest filled with blood, multiple lacerations all over her body. And the only place where she could be saved was here. The only group that could save her was here. And none of you met her. None of you were in the hospital room with her or did the operations that saved her life. But each of you had your hands on that oar that saved her. You belong to the place that saved her life. Because of this experience, she's told everyone that she wants to be a doctor. So we admitted her to medical school. She's got to grow into that jacket a little bit. But we'll show that to her the day she graduates from medical school, and I'm sure it'll be a treasure for her. See what I mean? The individual stories. They're what's important. And yet they all ramp up, they all blend into this larger story for us. I hope you take great pride. And ladies and gentlemen, this happens every day. It's happening every day in a clinic, in a hospital room, in a classroom, in a laboratory. It's happening every day. So this magazine, the Mission Magazine, is now one of the most decorated magazines in the United States. It tells a story of an institution. I hope you'll see the latest version and read each story in it. I have done so, and I recommend it highly. I am very proud of it, and I know when you read it, you'll be very proud of it as well. We anointed 5 new students from our individual schools as ambassador scholars. You'll see them around the campus and in many of our official events representing us as the student body representatives. And we were happy to do that. These are outstanding young people in a class of outstanding young people. With us in the room today are our presidential award winners, and I'm going to introduce them in a group and ask for a round of applause when I finish with all of them. But congratulations to Charlotte, Antoinette, Karina, John, Stephanie, and Mia, Presidential Employee Excellence Award winners, and Bennett, Ricky, Keith, Rebecca, and Lutzi in Sustained Teaching Excellence Emerging Teaching Excellence Award winners were Amit and Ramaswamy. Our Presidential Clinical Excellence Award winner was Glenn Half, no surprise to anybody, of course, for what he's contributed to our institution. Distinguished Junior Research Scholars Bess Frost and Michael Liss. Distinguished Senior Research Scholar James Stockend from the Department of Physiology. And then a team of award winners in the team category from Mark Radiology Long School of Medicine. Could I have everybody whose name I just called please stand up? We want to give you a round of applause. Congratulations. Congratulations. We have new UT Health San Antonio leadership. Peter Loomer is sitting here on the 4th or 5th row. He's the new dean of the dental school, came to us from New York University School of Dentistry. Jessica Saldivar has joined us as our Chief Compliance Officer. Tim Reistetter is the new Associate Dean for Research in the School of Health Professions, and Tim Robbie, Associate Dean of Academic Affairs in the Graduate School. Welcome to each of them. Number of people have been honored in our organization. Most recently, Lucy Lycum for her contribution to veterans health care, David Miramontes by the EMS medical directors, and Sue Muberry by being elected to be a fellow in a society whose name I cannot pronounce. This is not a typo. It's the American Society of something. All right. Is Alan Fraser here? Is anybody here from pharmacology? Where? Andrea, what is that last word under her name? See, he butchered it too. It's Anyway, Sue, we're glad you're a member of this organization. The San Antonio Business Journal has designated several healthcare heroes. This is an important award. It reflects very positively on the institution. So Kevin Donnelly, John Rue, Kristen Plastino, and C.J. Winkler have all been recipients of this award. They're very well deserved. And the School of Nursing is going through its 50th year anniversary this year, like the School of Medicine did last year, and they've had several important events to designate that, culminating, by the way, here's a date for your calendar, September 21st, there'll be a celebration at the Grand Hyatt Hotel, and the School of Nursing will be featured in that celebration. We had Family Day a couple of weeks ago. There was a chance to pet a kangaroo, which I did. That's an unusual experience, and it was well attended by everybody until the cold front arrived in the middle of Family Day, and everybody headed for the hills very quickly. I hope, this is a good place to pause for a second, I hope all of you, each of you, has enjoyed or get around enough to see what's happened in the transformation of the campus. Now, many of these changes are behind walls, so you don't get a chance to see them, but you should walk over to the nursing school and see this renovation. It's an entirely new place. It's completely different. And this slide does some justice to showing some of the beauty of the new renovations. Similarly, the School of Health Professions has undergone a massive change, and these changes are just beautiful. So here's a case where we've taken the former tuition revenue bond and some PUF money and all the other money we could cobble together and completely created new spaces that are complementary to our student body in very important ways. There's a new data center that has been constructed that will take care of our growth, our institution's growth in our needs for new technology there, and I'm pleased that that is now on time and on budget and is up. HR is relocating to new offices on Babcock and Wurzbach. Makes it easy for employees to find, prospective employees to find the location, and they are still available easily through the usual communication channels. I'm proud of the bridge. There's a bridge over Floyd Curl, and it was functional as well as symbolic. It's functional in that it carries conduits to the new science building, which is being erected and will be complete early next year. This is the Barshop Institute, relocated from West San Antonio here. It's a science building, and the bridge is here, and it's connected to the STRF, the South Texas Research Facility, one of our main new modern research buildings, and it allows the adjacencies of the cores that support science to be immediately available across the walkway. And in the end, I hope that if you're looking at an aerial of this whole area, what we'll be able to do is connect the Mark building to the bar shop with another bridge. And as you know, the dental school here in the foreground is connected already to the Mark building. So we'll have a series of connector pathways that will make it easier for pedestrian traffic to get from place to place. So the bridge is up, and I know you've noticed it. Ongoing construction continues, and this slide depicts some of the changes to the front door of the dental school. You may not be aware that pediatrics is relocating to this building. ENT will be there, student counseling. There's a new testing center in that building, new speech labs, OT, PT, all of that located in that handsome, beautiful space. And I'm grateful to Jim Kazin, who's sitting here on the third row, for his stewardship of these projects, and his entire team, along with Mike Black and Andrea Marks, who helped us find the money to do these projects. Now, the ongoing construction project that's currently completing is the bar shop building, shown from another view here. Here's the bridge going across. This is a different view. This is the imaging facility behind it. So you can get the picture. And this is another beautiful and complementary addition to our portfolio. Okay. Change in plans. You know, I talked about that bridge that goes over the main plaza connecting the administration building with the medical school buildings. I talked about how unsafe it was, how those who lived in that building were in peril, living from day to day, on the edge of anxiety, waiting for the thing to fall down. Well, I lied about that. It's not actually in peril of falling down. What it's doing is it's pulling away from the medical school building, and I was determined to take it down and create a beautiful plaza that would showcase the Academic Learning and Teaching Center, so that when you saw it, you could see its beautiful colors and you could look right through to that thing. But then I learned that underneath that bridge, in the bottom part of it, are a whole series of conduits, all the electrical, all of the IT, all of the plumbing, and that to take it down, we have to dig a hole in the ground and then bury all of those conduits underneath the plaza. And that would be okay, except for the fact that that costs money. And so I'm thinking about a new plan. And I got this inspiration for the new plan from none other than Paolo Casali. Is he here today? I went to visit his department, the Department of Microbiology, and he grabbed me as I was leaving, and he deserves all the credit for this plan. So I'm going to tell you what the plan is today, and we're going to vote on this plan right today. Now, here's the plan. He said, don't tear the bridge down. Instead, put glass on both sides of it. Make it see-through so you can see the Academic Learning and Teaching Center. Put modern poles underneath it rather than those ugly 1970s poles that now support it. And you'd have a beautiful architectural feature that would unite those two buildings, and you'd still be able to see through it and see everything. Yes. Yes. Then he had the idea of building the Trevi Fountain right underneath it so that we'd have all these fountains and everything. Well, I think his ideas got merit. So I've asked Mr. Black and Mr. Kazin to look into whether or not this is feasible. It would be cheaper because... Okay, we'll give this a little bit more work, but I like this idea a lot. And so more to come on the bridge. You'll be glad to know that we've evacuated the bridge, so in the present day, no one is living in the bridge. We've relocated the dean's office to the modern facilities that I showed you earlier. Now, what this slide shows is something that is actually on the books to be accomplished in the not-too-distant future. This is a front view of the Health Science Center, and this structure, which is not here today, is a garage. We need more parking as the institution grows, and we've made plans to build a garage in front of the Briscoe Library. At least that's its present location that's planned. And if we do that, on the back side of the garage, we could put some retail shops and the bookstore. What that would do is create another esplanade for student traffic, faculty traffic, and staff traffic, and create more of a pathway to go from one place to another and connect buildings that way. So that's the current plan, but as you've heard today, nothing is final yet. I was in the Starbucks line the other day, and I heard somebody complaining about the street being torn up on Louis Pasteur and on Floyd Curl, and this person said some unkind things about me as being responsible. I want to make it clear to you that I am not responsible for the street being torn up. It's a green street, so it's going to have biking and pedestrian walkways and have foliage on the street to make it a pretty street. It's going to be what's called a complete street, a street in the modern vernacular that has the ability to accommodate all of these kinds of traffic. And the City of San Antonio and the San Antonio Medical Foundation have collaborated to create this for us. The thing on the bottom of this slide, the bottom right-hand slide, is the new so-called Gateway project. Again, I had nothing to do with tearing down Aldo's. I miss them more than you miss them, but this is the new project that was designed to be a gateway project there, and I think we have to wait and see what it looks like, but it's the SAMF plan. Speaking of building, there's a new hospital being built on the front yard of University Health System. This is the Women and Children's Tower that will be as beautiful as the Sky Tower is, and it'll be right on that Medical Drive side of the hospital, and connectivity will be optimized in there. In addition to the $450 million that this project costs, there's another about $150 million in electronic medical record modernization that will also occur. So kudos to UHS for doing this. On to education. 97% of our Long School of Medicine seniors matched for the residency program in Match Day. 42% of them are staying in Texas. The national rate of matching was about 93 or 94%. So we exceeded that rate, which is a great compliment to the dean's office for the counseling that they did and the way that they nurtured these students through to get this outstanding result. The School of Dentistry was ranked 4th in the United States and Canada as the School of Dentistry in North America, a richly deserved honor. The MSTP program, the Medical Sciences Training Program, is funded by the National Institutes of Health for MD, PhD students, and it was one of the first. It was the first one funded in a long time. The School of Nursing continues to lead the league in terms of NCLEX pass rates, their certifying exam, and the School of Health Profession also has had great success. So the students are doing very well. We should all take great pride in that. In addition, we're building a pipeline of new students. In fact, this shows a picture of the Volker students. These are high school students who spend a couple of summers here and who go on to careers, decorated careers in undergraduate and graduate work. And I believe 2 of these students are now in our medical school from this year. Moreover, you don't know about these programs because on the campus every year there are about 15,000 to 17,000 high school students who visit us. So it builds a culture of achievement by having them come. SACS. Last year when I spoke to you, we didn't know the fate of our Southern College's accreditation, which is the accrediting body for the entire organization. We were reaffirmed, or we were reaccredited for 10 years with no recommendations and no citations. How's that? Thanks to everybody who participated in that. Blanca Bauer led that with Jacqueline Mock and a whole array of people. The Liaison Committee on Medical Education was here in January. We had a positive review. The assessment for our laboratory animal care also received a positive review. Official letters are in the mail. We have pending accreditation visits, importantly from CODA. In October, there's a physical therapy and medical lab sciences accreditation also in the wings. Lark Ford's here. I see her in the back. Lark Ford's leading this interprofessional collaboration work that we're doing, which is the work that we told SACS that we would do, and a number of important committees have been formed to lead us forward in that regard. In terms of areas of innovation, we've established a new biobank from J.M. Barker gift that helped us do that, and Technovum, big story about Dr. Giuffrida and John Fritz and others who set up this accelerator. This is another way for investigators to get resources to allow them to advance their ideas. And without an accelerator on the campus, we were hamstrung in doing that. And kudos to all those who have worked on this. Big story in the Express News about this. Let's move on to some clinical information. We have 7 practice sites. Here they are. They're sort of clustered in North San Antonio, as you can see, North and West San Antonio, as you can see. And you'll see the case being made in just the next few slides for some more of them. Because there's been a 10% increase in new patients year to date in the UT Health physicians' practice, we're on track to see about 450,000 visits in the Mark Building. Last month, there were 3 or 4 days that we had over 2,000 visits in the building. And since there are 220 working days in the year, you can see by just doing the math how busy the place is. And what that informs is this. That building has a finite capacity. We can't see 900,000 visits there. We can see, and we can open up on Saturdays and Sundays and keep it open until 10 o'clock maybe and see more patients, but ultimately the parking will become a problem and the number of rooms will become a problem. So it means the practice, in order to stay ahead of the demand, has to grow. And the good news about this is people are voting with their feet. I hope all of you, or each of you, and your families are considering being a patient at UT Medicine and UT Dentistry and the other practices that we have here. People are voting with their feet. New patient visits are up. And that is a very good sign for us as an institution and for these practices. The Mays Cancer Centers also had a very big increase this year. UT Dentistry seeing an increase. The nursing practice has grown in its venues tremendously, as has the School of Health Professions. And by the way, the School of Health Professions is open for primary care and urgent care on Saturdays from 8 to 5. So if you have a sore throat, a cold, something that could be seen ordinarily in an urgent care center, I urge you to take advantage of this service in the Mark Building on Saturdays. Now, what does this mean for us? It means that the outpatient trajectory needs to be planned for today. It means that we're going to need a number of additional venues strategically placed in places where people can get easier access to our providers. So that's underway. And when I spoke at the beginning about controlling our destiny and our fate, what I was saying is that the biggest single determinant of doing that is having our own inpatient facility. And we are actively planning for that now. I pray that in the next 3 or 4 months that we'll have enough information to make an announcement about this. But that site would likely be in the South Texas Medical Center. We have land available for such a site, and we've kept all of our partners informed about this. So more about that later, but I'm hoping by the time that we have this session in the fall, it will be old news to this audience. Research is up. Major increases in research. Kudos to our investigators in basic and clinical departments across the institution, and to the dental school, the nursing school, and health professions school for seeing these increase. The numbers speak for themselves. We've jumped in the Blue Ridge rankings, and if we continue on this pathway, we will certainly reach the top third of research institutions in the country in the not too distant future. One of the major awards which has fueled this progress is a $19 million award for Texas Targeted Opioid Response, led by Dr. Lisa Cleveland. I heard an astonishing statistic the other day that once every 15 seconds in America, someone dies of an overdose. Have you all read that book, Dreamland? This book that was written, it was the book that was sort of the heralding event, the harbinger of what was to come. It's a great read. It's a depressing read, but it's about Ohio and about the over-prescription of opioid medicines and how the false premise that you couldn't get addicted if you just took the medicine for 10 days or 2 weeks would be safe. And that is clearly not the case. And now there's a whole generation of people who are struggling with this addiction. And Lisa's work in this area has been groundbreaking, and in this community has been seminal. Just a tremendous amount of credit to her and to her team for doing this. I've listed the other projects here. Drs. Frost, Curiel, Veligan, Lehman, DeLorenzo, and Peterson should also be congratulated for these outstanding research achievements. The legislature is in session. I spent all day yesterday with them. I've spent now a total of about 9 days with them. I actually like them. I want to say that on record. I actually like them. I mean, they're people too. They've got a lot on their plates, a lot on their shovels, and I've learned in this session in particular how complicated their jobs are. We have a number of important initiatives in front of them, and I'll put it this way, we have exactly 6 weeks to go. 6 weeks to go. They have to gavel out no later than midnight on the Sunday of Memorial Day weekend. And they have one thing that they have to do, only one thing that they have to do in the legislative session by law, and that is they have to pass a budget. And that might seem like a relatively easy thing to do, except that there are so many elbows at the trough, so many competing ideas for how the money should be spent, that it's difficult. And this year is a difficult year because they have money. It's easier for them to say no when they have no money. But when they have money, then it's like being under the basket trying to get a rebound. It's tough on people. So I'm up there 1 or 2 days a week, touching all of the bases as firmly as I can touch them, making a case for these projects listed here. I'd point out to you that the bullet under Barshop Institute is a catch-all in order for us to get funding for a whole array of neuroscience projects. And we're doing that so we don't put on the docket a new program. If you put a new program on the docket with the legislature, they won't, it's new. And everything new is automatically given, is put to the bottom of the deck. So that's our strategy there. But these are important projects. We're actively educating, trying to get them across the goal line. The San Antonio State Hospital. Steve Pliska sitting here in the middle. He has led an enormously successful effort to put this hospital and this critical need for San Antonio and for Texas high in the minds of everybody in our community. The way we take care of the mentally ill in Texas is a sin. It is horrible. These hospitals are awful. They are terrible. Rusk, Terrell, Ash, Austin State Hospital, San Antonio State Hospital, they were all built around a model of 19th century psychiatric care. We must get this changed. They were in the bill pattern until recently, and for reasons that are not clear to me or to our government relations team, they are not in the bill pattern in the Senate version of the bill that's just been reported. We are doing our best to get it back into the bill pattern, and I compliment Steve publicly about this because he put together a coalition. He knitted together all the different threads around this and got this into a place where it's high in the minds, top of mind for everybody. Senator Pete Flores, if you know him, please encourage him to continue to advance this idea. He's the new Republican senator from South San Antonio, and we need him badly to be our advocate in this space. So fingers crossed that this will make it. We've established a virtual collaboration with UTSA, Southwest Research, and Texas Biomedical to get credit for San Antonio being a city of science and research. If you add up the research of these 4 organizations, it's $900 million a year. And yet San Antonio sits in second place in people's minds to Austin and Dallas and Houston. And so we're doing this for the mayor at the mayor's request. We're doing this for our legislators' request. And we should do it for our own peace of mind because it gives us the impetus to grow more research and to build more collaboration. All right, these next few slides talk about our financial position. So let me take a few seconds to do that, please. So this shows our total net position from 2014 to 2018 in 3 categories of funds: current funds, endowment funds, and investment in our infrastructure and our plant. And in general, what the slide shows is that we've grown to be a $1.7 billion organization. That's remarkable. And I said at the beginning about our sophistication and our level of maturity. That's what this refers to. And it's not a small number. And it's particularly a prodigious number when you consider the fact that we don't own our own hospital. And if we did own our own hospital, and when we do own our own hospital, this number will become sizably, at least 50%, maybe 100% bigger than what it is now. And all of this is so we can deliver more care, deliver more teaching, do more science. So this is our net position. Now, here's the story on our budget. because it can get a little bit confusing. Our budgeted investment in our faculty last fiscal year was $32 million. This year, it's 50% more. It's touching $50 million of investment. To do this, we've written a budget which is $10 million negative. Now, the whole reason we spent all these years building our reserves to build this blue number up to $450 to $500 million is so we could invest in ourselves. Keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, we don't have a hospital that's funneling $50 or $60 million to us for this kind of investment. We're doing all this ourselves. You're doing all this yourselves. We're doing it by dint of our sweat equity into the institution. This is us. This isn't anybody else. This isn't somebody giving us gratis funds for self-investment. We're doing this so we can build the institution up. And that's exactly what we are doing. So this year, $48 million. You can see, I think everybody would agree with the investments that have been made. So we can continue to grow, we can recruit and retain our faculty, our staff, provide the best environment for our students. And it's working by virtue of all the things I've shown you so far. It's working. So we've gotten approval to write these negative budgets. By the way, we need to write a couple of years of them in order to be able to complete the investments we need to achieve the full potential of the institution. What this slide shows is this. In the orange bars is our financial revenue and growth over the years. What it shows is from 2018 actual to 2018 projected, we're going to have about a 3% increase in growth in revenues. That's excellent. That is excellent. The problem is our expenses are slightly ahead of projection. And the net result is we're a little off track on our budget. So we're taking steps now to try not to fill not revenue producing positions in the institution in the next bit of time before the fiscal year ends so we can stay on track. Because here's the deal. If we're going to invest in a new set of outpatient facilities or a new inpatient facility, we have to meet the budget of $10 million negative. It can't be $20 million negative. It isn't that it would throw the institution into a tailspin financially. What it would do is break the covenant we have with UT System. So we have to mind our P's and Q's. And if it sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth at the same time, I'm not trying to. The financial health of the institution is very solid. It's rock solid. But the fact is these budgets are there for a reason, and we have to stay on budget. If we don't, I don't want them to get cold feet when I really need their help in building something that will enhance the future. So the finances are what they are. In philanthropy, we're doing well. Many people don't realize what a developed financial strut this is for our whole budget. But what this slide shows in graphic form in these histograms is that in 5 out of the last 6 years, we raised over $60 million in philanthropy. And in 3 of the last 6, over $70 million in philanthropy, which is truly a testament to Debbie Morrill and her team. Just a tremendous job. And our endowment, when I started here, it was $250 million or something, and now it's $600 million, as shown here. This is the book value, this is the market value of the endowments, so that's healthy. And this slide depicts almost $40 million of new philanthropy that have come in this year. I'd point out the one from the Barker Foundation because that helped us with our biorepository. That is a particularly important one. Look at this anonymous planned gift, this legacy gift of $20 million. Chances are that gift will grow to $25 or $30 million upon maturity. And finally, to close this out, it's something I've mentioned before, but to say it again, we have this initiative, this important initiative called Enterprise Design for Growth and Effectiveness, EDGE initiative. And it's designed to modernize over these next 5 years our infrastructure, because in particular in HR and in IT, we've become so fragmented as an institution, we're not doing things efficiently at all. And we're loading down the institution with expense in areas where we could consolidate and deploy people to other areas where we need more hands on the wheel. And that's what this is about. It's an organization-wide, 150 people involved in trying to get us to focus on how we can efficiently run the institution. Mr. Michael Black is leading this effort with a variety of other people. I think there are 6 or 7, 8 working groups working on these different areas. So you'll hear more about this. Everybody has this job. Each person has this job. We can't be inefficient and go on saying it's okay to have 34 IT departments and 86 HR departments. We can't do that anymore. We have to get this better. And that involves holding a mirror up to ourselves and doing it. I also should mention that in collaboration with the Faculty Senate, we're working on important issues in the institution, like staff and faculty burnout, and with the help of that leadership, we are supporting new initiatives in faculty development and trying to make them department-centric. Fiesta Medals sales are available now. The River Parade is on April 22nd. How many floats will we have in the River Parade? We have one. Have you had any volunteers for riding on the River Parade float yet? The nursing school's doing it? Are they going to have the band from the School of Dentistry that only knows one song play that? I will carry to my grave the fact that I was roped into being on the float one year. And Peter, the dentistry band that did this, knew Proud Mary as their only song. It is a great song for the first hour. But then it sort of loses its punch. I won't go into the other details, but there are no bathrooms on the River Parade float. Anyway, it's fun. You should go down there and join the 250,000 people who will be down there looking at the River Parade float. I hope you'll participate in that. And the President's Gala. See these other things coming up that you can see. Tomorrow, Dr. Vivek Murthy will be here, former Surgeon General of the United States. There's a reception from 4:30 to 5:30 in the Holly Auditorium foyer, and his discussion on well-being will be of interest. I urge all of you to go. Support him and support the Center for Medical Humanities and Ethics by being there. I think it'll be a very relevant talk no matter what your background is. So let me close where I began. Each of these items I've related to you involves a story or a series of stories from our institution. That little girl, her family, all the people who cared for her, all the people in this room who indirectly touched her by having your heart and soul in the institution. You should take great pride in that. And I get to shake hands with 700 sweaty palms in May. And these 700 newly minted stories will carry forward and touch thousands of people in their professional lifetimes. And the ripple effect of that is that millions upon millions of people are touched. Writing an impactful scientific paper that changes practice, teaching a group of students in a school, taking care of patients and taking care of patients' families. I hope that's not lost on you. I hope it's not lost on the far-reaching effects of the good that's done by each of you. So when we convene again in October, my hope is I'll have some new information about the growth in our practice and have some modern updates for you. But until then, until I see you in the Starbucks line or around the place, thank you. Thank you for all you're doing for our institution.